this evening's edition of Majority Caucus. We are live on your Joy News channel on your multi-TV. My name is Ali Dawood. I'll be sitting in for your regular host, James Ajenim Boateng. Well, tonight we have a cocktail of issues we would like to take a look at. Considering the limited time that we have, we may have to leave the rest of the issues for subsequent edition of this show. Tonight, we will be talking about attempt by Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the running mate for the MPP, to seek solace under the Eurobond saga. I'm sure you do remember last week we discussed his shameless attempt to woo the Muslim community to vote for him because he believes that is the message that would convince the Muslim community. Well, today, we will not allow that issue to rest. We are going to mix it with another yet lie that has been told about our Eurobond, whether or not it is true that the finance minister has divided 250 million of the 1 billion Eurobond into a secret account for the for the NDC upcoming election campaign. To hear more, stay with me. This show continues right after this break. This is Majority Caucus live on your multi-TV Joyce channel, to be specific. Tonight we will be discussing, like I said, the issue regarding the Eurobond. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has made a comment or an allegation to the extent that the Ministry of Finance has diverted $250 million out of the 1 billion Eurobond that was raised somewhere last year into a secret account. It is in his view that this money is going to be used for the upcoming election campaign for the NDC. Whether or not this statement is true, I have some team of experts in this studio to help me discuss this matter thoroughly. But even before we do that, in the editorial, let me just state that the issue regarding the IEA, it is true that His Excellency the President has thrown a challenge to Akufo-Addo to come for one-on-one debate. But that statement was nevertheless a conclusive statement giving sole authority to IEA to be the platform on which that debate would take place. That has never been said. And so the NDC as a party has a right to go on any other platform to engage in such a debate, not necessarily the one organized by IEA. IEA is a civil society organization. It is my humble view that for an institution such as IEA to want to promote multi-party democracy, it is important that it becomes integral in their philosophy, that they involve as many political parties as guaranteed by the Constitution and the Ghana's Political Parties Act, and not to pick and choose which parties they think will bring them most of the audience. No, it is about the masses, it's about the election. Issues regarding this topic, we will discuss them at another day because we have limited time. But tonight, we are going to put our focus on Bawumia and his apparent incessant desire to be churning out pack of lies to unsuspecting Ghanaians. It is important that we tell the truth. And to do that, I have been joined in the studio by Abu Razak, who is the convener for the Research and Advocate platform. Also in the studio is a celebrated financial analyst all the way from the Upper East region, who is also the NDC parliamentary nominee for Bolga Central. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining me in the studio.
Thank you so much.
Razak, you are coming from the research civil society organization, just like IEA, just like Codec, just like any other that we've known in the history of Ghana politics. Last week, we had the occasion to discuss what Bawumia said about Muslims wanting to be their preferred choice because he believes he's a Muslim. And on my way, I mean, Ayarga was telling me I mean, you know, Ayaga was telling me that, but he's a Muslim and he has a political party, APC, and he's actually a presidential candidate for the party. So if he's a Muslim, why don't we just, you know, go for him?
Exactly.
But let's see how this thing feeds into the recent comment that he made. Most people believe that he was so heavily damaged by that comment that he quickly have to seek, you know, refuge from this so-called Eurobond saga, where there's no issue, but it appears that Bawumia is heavily feasting on that.
I think good evening, Ali, to your listeners. And to respond directly to your question, yeah, I think those who have made this observation are absolutely right. Because what Dr. Bawumia did to himself last week with his vulgar religious outburst is so injurious to himself and his party. And I think they are underestimating the injury he has done to himself and his party. And I'm going to liken it to injury in football. You know, in soccer, we have various degrees of injuries. There's an injury that when you have, they take you out with a stretcher, treat you and bring you back, and you continue with your game. There are some, you go off the pitch, and then you have to be away for some weeks, and then come back to the pitch and continue. And there are some injuries that when you have it, it can kill your profession, such as knee. When you have a knee injury, chronic knee injury, finish, you are finished. So what Dr. Bawumia has done to himself and the MPP, he has given he has sustained a political knee. And this knee will follow him.
You mean his political future is damaged?
Yes. So this will always be recalled anytime his name is mentioned in our political circles. It's akin to the all die be die his boss made some years ago. So this is political knee and he has to deal with it. So anytime we are supposed to deal with Dr. Bawumia, the issue of his religious outburst will come in. Why? Because he has consistently spoken about evidence or competence-based management of our economy. Okay? He says that we need competence. So going by his own standards, when did having a Quran and a Bible in the Flagstaff House become a yardstick for competence?
I'm surprised.
Good. So if he's resorting to this, we from the research advocacy platform are of the view that Dr. Bawumia is running out of issues. Because some of the things that he has outlined, it appears they are not, resonating with the general public. And I will refer you to his 10-point plan. You know, he has spoken about job creation. He said unemployment, all that. So now he was put to the test. Okay, give us alternatives. You say we have issues with jobs, we have issues with whatever. Give us alternatives. And he put out a 10-point plan for job creation. So we from the research and advocacy platform, we went through, looked at his program, and then we think that this plan has disappointed him. So let me resort to emotional issues. Let me work on the people's emotions and see whether that will win me vote. And I'll tell you why he's running away from his own 10-point plan for job creation. I've listed them here. Number one on his point was just a quick listen. He said number one was formalizing the economy of Ghana. Under formalizing the economy of Ghana, he said the MPP will undertake national identification exercise. And then they'll also undertake property address system. So let's interrogate the first one. National identification exercise. Is it not currently happening in Ghana? Don't we have a national identification authority?
It is.
And are people not employed in that authority? So how come he's going to use the same national identification exercise to create jobs for Ghanaians? And he said property address. Properties in Ghana do not have addresses. Ali, in your home, don't you have an address in your home?
Recently named. We do.
Good. So if property address is going to be one of his options to create jobs, then I'm afraid his point number one in formalizing the economy for creating jobs has collapsed from the start. And he has realized this, and he knows that if he's put to the test, he will fail on this score. Number 2, financial inclusion, that the MPP will institute a policy of financial inclusion. And this financial inclusion means a policy of banking the unbanked, according to him. He has been the deputy governor of Bank of Ghana under the MPP. Where was he? And where was this policy of banking the unbanked? So is it today that he's coming to tell the Ghanaians that he's going to bank the unbanked as a criteria for job creation? So we are asking. Number 3, he said diversifying Ghana's export market base, okay, as a means to creating jobs. Currently, these measures are underway. Free zones, okay, has registered a number of companies who are engaging in exports. And this has created in excess of 16,000 jobs just under free zones. So this policy this policy that Dr. Bawumia is referring to is also being catered for.
And therefore it will collapse.
It will collapse from the start. Number 4, developing the mortgage market as one of his job creation methodology. And under this, you know what he said? He said Nima and Jamestown have no land titles. That the homes in Nima and Jamestown have no land titles. So the MPP will come and give them the opportunity.
How did he arrive at that conclusion?
Exactly. Good question. And that is supposed to be a measure for job creation. You can read it. It's online. And then he also, number 5, he said favorable policy framework and economic stability. Under that, he said the MPP will do tax incentives, will give tax incentives to business employing fresh graduates. If you set up a business and you employ a fresh graduate who hasn't worked before, Dr. Bawumia and the MPP says...
I'm sure all companies in Ghana will get tax incentives because then they will all be rushing for fresh graduates.
So do you know the implication of this measure? If you are giving incentives or subsidies as a government, you have to have an alternative to make up for that cost.
Yeah.
Has he given us any cost details?
Otherwise, you risk earning revenues.
Good. Has he done the costing of his promises? So this promise, for instance, he has not given us any detail or any costing. But they are the ones to tell government that government projects have no costing. But he can promise without a cost. And then we should allow that to go. I'll just run through quickly. Number 7, he said the MPP government will take steps to address corruption as a measure. But we all know what happened under the MPP. Former President Kufuor said is from Adam, and that he has to pinch himself every now and then to realize that, temptation. And then gradually it came to a point, if you allege corruption, bring evidence. Fantastic. And I wonder what the serious fraud office at the office of the president was doing. Exactly. So now let's compare, what is going on under this current administration. One of the most scientific measures of corruption is the CPI. Indeed. All right? The Corruption Perception Index. And their latest report says that Ghana and Senegal are one of the leading countries in West Africa, that are dealing with corruption. And the marks Ghana has, the lowest mark Ghana has been the highest mark the MPP ever obtained. Let me chip in something. Yes. I'm not sure if it was a comment made by, it was a comment meant for public consumption, but David Cameron, in a tete-a-tete with the Archbishop of Canterbury in England and the Queen, were having a conversation. I think it was off. Exactly. I heard it this morning. And so the news media managed to capture it. He was telling the Queen, David Cameron, the Prime Minister of England, was saying that Nigeria and Afghanistan they are fantastically corrupt. You see, I'm sure that if we were in the same ladder, if we were in the same category, he wouldn't hesitate mentioning them. Because this is a private conversation. And yet we have Bawumia wanting us to believe otherwise, with no evidence. Exactly. So this is point 8. No, this is point 7. It's also not winning because they keep talking about corruption without any evidence. So if you lose out of the issues, you run to religion and activate people's emotions. Indeed. All right? Now, point number 8, he said they will prioritize agriculture. If you look at the speech the president gave in Cape Coast, okay, the president delivered a background to our economic growth and the prospects, because the IMF and the World Bank have already confirmed that Ghana is in a position for takeoff, especially from 2017.
Okay.
Okay, and the EIU said that Ghana will be ready for, huge economic growth from 2017. So the president put the growth figure at in excess of 7%. And agric is one of the areas that will be catered for. The new governor has announced that 1 million Ghana cedis will be, I'm not sure of the figure. Is it 1 million or 1 million Ghana cedis or $1 million?
Okay.
You may have to check the distance. Yes. Okay. Will be dedicated to agric. If this amount of investment is going into agric, where will Dr. Bawumia's point number 9 find place?
Indeed.
Okay. So point number 10.
Good.
He said investing in skills training and research.
Oh, I thought EA was doing that and still doing it.
Good. So it means that in essence, he has nothing new to offer.
No.
The NPP has no alternative for this current government. So what do? Let's adopt a strategy to get on the people's emotions.
And this government has seen to the second enrollment of programs. Yes.
Yes.
The Yes initiative, and people who have benefited, who have set up their new businesses, are living, and they would not hesitate to testify. I'll come back to Razak. So
I wanted to conclude with the ethnic angle. You know this latest religious outburst from Dr. Bawumia.
Yes.
It's been something we haven't monitored his campaigns, but I have, and many of our people who are keen on monitoring these issues have monitored his comments lately. When he goes to the Mamprugu area, okay, he does a lot of ethnic politics. And
he speaks in the local dialect.
Yes, he tells the people that at their time when the MPP comes, it's time for them to also have their man as the vice president of this country. And from his point of view, he thinks that has given him some mileage in the Mamprugu area. So now, having assumed that that is okay for him, he should extend his constituency to the Muslim community. Now, okay, since I've been managed to do this ethnic thing for a while, let me see whether I can extend it to the Muslim community. And what he said, okay, even we don't advise that in private chat, you should be saying stuff like that. But he has managed to elevate it to the level of political campaigns. Delivering it on political,
That's dangerous.
Delivering it on political platforms.
It frowns on every single pillar that the Constitution has ensured that political parties should be built upon. And that is my worry.
Exactly.
The moment people begin to buy into it, the next thing is to have some sense of entitlement by way of affiliation to religion or to tribes. When that is not met, violence becomes the ordinary consequences.
And the Peace Council chairman made a significant remark on this. He said that what Dr. Bawumia said is a fodder for extremists and terrorist groups to feed on.
Radicalism and fundamentalism.
Why? Because they only can stay outside and listen to what Dr. Bawumia says and says, okay, it looks like in Ghana, Muslims are being discriminated against. So that becomes a basis for some action to be taken.
To launch announcements.
So it was the most repugnant utterance made by a political leader in this country. That is why I'm saying that is his political knee, and this will follow him anywhere he goes.
Even in
anytime he speaks, we'll remind him.
I don't think we are done with that topic yet. I will come back to you, so we deal with the ethnocentric bigotry coming from Bawumia. But Honorable Adongo, you are a financial analyst. There's a shift of goalposts. He did not survive, or he did not succeed with the religious sentiment. He's now running to accuse the finance ministry that, hey, you have stolen Ghana's $250 million and you've placed it in some account that we don't know. And in my opinion, as a doctor and a former deputy Bank of Ghana governor, I think that you are violating some Bank of Ghana acts. I don't understand. Where is the 250 million NDC produced? In your opinion, is this something that we should take serious?
Thank you very much, Good afternoon to your cherished listeners and to my constituents, particularly my big brother Abraham Amalba and Opam Brown. Okay. They've done a great job to support me, and I want to appreciate them. I think Dr. Bawumia is increasingly losing value as an academic. For some of us who have admired him from far, because he's an intellectual genius, and we do know that he's an astute banker and an economist. And if Bawumia wants to do proper economics and finance, that is not what he will be doing. Unfortunately, his political ambition to become a vice president has pushed him to engage in streetwise finance and economics. And it is very strange that somebody at his level would do that. Let's look at the facts. You set up a special purpose vehicle called the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund.
GIF for short.
And that special purpose vehicle is supposed to be a means by which you can mobilize resources, both domestically and internationally, to engage in expansion of our infrastructure. And that there are challenges in financing infrastructure within the context of our budget. And therefore, you want to dedicate a vehicle that will make sure that you smoothen that path. Now, to do that, you have set up an organization that has been what do you call it, approved by Parliament through an act of Parliament, the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund of 2014, which is Act 877. Now, it is giving the mandate to manage its own resources, to leverage its resources, and to utilize allocations from the budget under what we call the annual budget funding amount in order to ensure that funds are available to scale up infrastructure development. Now, you agree that the project or the organization needs a certain seed money, which is $250 million. And that seed money of $250 million, you raise it from as part of your Eurobond. Now, the organization is ready. It has an act of Parliament. It has its own board. It has its own chief executive. And they tell you, now we are ready. We need our money in order to go to the market, develop projects that we think are fundable, and leverage the $250 million to bring in more money. Don't forget that no investor will come into Ghana and decide that I want to do a dual carriageway from Accra to Kumasi, for instance, and dualize that road at, say, $1 billion, and expect that the government of Ghana should undertake part of the risk and say, okay, can you provide $250 million? We'll give you $750 million to be able to do it at $1 billion. You need to show the money. So Ghana Infrastructure and Investment Fund must have its own resources in order to leverage the funding that is available internationally in order to engage in self-financing infrastructure projects. So you send them their money. They decide to put the money into a commercial bank. And someone says the money should have been sitting at the Bank of Ghana.
Yes, that's Bawumia's opinion.
And that is very strange. I ask a very simple question. The World Bank is funding several projects in Ghana. The Ghana Commercial Agriculture Project, worth over $120 million, is funded by the World Bank. Where is the special account or the designated account through which the Bank of Ghana sends replenishment into that project? Where is it domiciled? It's not domiciled at the Bank of Ghana.
Okay.
The Ghana Social Opportunities Project, now worth over $135 million, is funded by the World Bank. They send money into a special purpose account sitting at the Ghana Commercial Bank. Is that not foreign exchange funds?
It is.
Are they sitting at the Bank of Ghana? And that is the level of ignorance of Dr. Bawumia, that public financial management is different from managing exchange controls. And want to link the two of them to say that once they are foreign exchange denominated funds, they must necessarily be domiciled at the Bank of Ghana. So are you saying that the $250 million that was raised by the Ghana Airport Company for airport expansion is sitting at the Bank of Ghana, even though it is a company with its own board and with its own management and its own systems? Because it is foreign exchange denominated, by Bawumia's theory, that money should be sitting at the Bank of Ghana.
I want you to hold on with that. I see my tablet is buzzing. Let me take some messages. I'll come back. Obviously, the viewers want to know more about this. I have this. This says all this happening because the police service would employ professional Police defer. I think there's an old message. Oh, okay. Please, the NDCs play what Dr. Bawumia said on Eurobond and the response of the finance minister for Ghanaians to hear. Okay. I'm sure that when they get the tape, it will be done. This one says, fantastic work done, NDC Caucus, but I guess the rest of the messages are not clear. Make your text as concise as possible so I'll be able to share it with the rest of the world. But this discussion continues right in this studio. Stay with me, don't go away. We'll be right back. Hello, welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Majority Caucus live on your Joy News channel, on Multi TV. There's one thing about this show, even though we try to engage ourselves in studio discussion, we do believe, for those of you out there watching us in your various homes, you may have wonderful opinion, or you may even be more intelligent than us here. So we would like to hear your views, and that can only be possible when you send it to us through the text line, WhatsApp, with the WhatsApp line. But try to keep your messages as brief, and the shorthand must be very clear so I can read and understand what you want us to know. This one is from Raymond Ebiri in Bolga. Raymond says, a very good evening to my mentor, Honorable Isaac Adongo. You are doing a wonderful work there. And then this one says, in my opinion, it is dangerous to bring religion and religious differences into politics. This can stir trouble. Islam easily breeds radicalism. The examples are all over the world. Politics is better without ethnic and religious differences. I agree with everything that you said in your text message, except to object to the line that says Islam easily breeds, every religion easily breeds radicalism. You might want to go back to your history books. You will learn more about the Catholic and the Crusaders, everything about them. We want that era to be to belong to the dustbins of history, and so not only Islam. And so, but thank you very much for your message. This is for Plao. Let me. Okay, this is an old message. Great inspirational message. This. Mr. Okay, no, this is an old message. But of course, keep your messages coming. We would make time to read them and share with the rest of the world. Honorable Isaac Adongo, you were telling us about the differences in terms of keeping money, the state funds, in commercial banks to earn profit or interest, if you like, than leaving them at Bank of Ghana gathering dust.
So it is basically out of ignorance that one would assume that once funds have come in and they are for the state, they must necessarily be lodged at the Bank of Ghana because they are foreign-denominated funds. And if they are lodged anywhere other than Bank of Ghana, then you are breaching the Bank of Ghana Act. And I'm saying that is not correct. There are several examples. The Rural Enterprises Project, $120 million funded by IFAD. Where is the special account? It is not domiciled at the Bank of Ghana. Okay, so there are numerous examples of funding from other projects.
Let me understand this.
Yeah.
It is not merely the fact that the fund is captured in foreign exchange denomination. That's not the only criteria.
No, exactly.
Okay.
That is not the only criteria. The important thing is that there has to be a special arrangement. And under the Eurobond issue, in the prospectus, particularly the 2015 prospectus, none of the funds was earmarked for anything other than financing maturing domestic debt obligations.
Okay.
The funding that we are looking at is what was earmarked for the startup of the Ghana Infrastructure Fund in the 2014 Eurobond. And go back and read the prospectus. It was very clear that $250 million would have to be given to the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund. And so once the Ghana Infrastructure and Investment Fund become technically operative, and you become technically operative when the structures are in place, when you have a board that takes oversight responsibility, when you have management that are in place, then you can then have your funding, which is almost like setting up a company and agreeing a certain shareholding position. So the funding must be given to to the organization. Okay. And the organization must open an account, which account happens to be that of a private commercial bank. And those private commercial banks basically bid on proposals to demonstrate how they can properly manage the funding, for which reason you can then keep your monies in those banks. Now, that is the first step. So to say that because they were foreign denominated funds, they must necessarily be kept at the Bank of Ghana is the height of ignorance. It doesn't just happen.
But this
so that is the first one.
Yeah, okay.
That's the first one. No, he's standing on one leg. He's standing on the leg that he's a central governor. And he's been used to managing foreign exchange. Okay. And so anything foreign exchange, don't forget that even at the Supreme Court, he was equating the pink sheet to the writing of a check. You remember?
Yes.
When he was saying that when the words and the figures don't tally. You know,
yes,
I mean, he's so quick. He's so quick to rely on his banking knowledge to the neglect of all other laws that say otherwise. And that is the problem with Bawumia. So I'm not surprised that they just have foreign exchange.
That disappointed him.
Exactly.
Relying on his banking knowledge.
Exactly. It's because it doesn't work there.
Yeah,
and because he just here, it is dollars. Dollars, their only home is Bank of Ghana. Okay. Because he doesn't have a clear view of the entire package of laws that govern public financial management. In fact, it seems to me that he's not abreast even with the Financial Administration Act. He's not abreast with it. Otherwise, he will know that it is just basic knowledge that funding must not necessarily be sitting at the Bank of Ghana because they are denominated in dollars. That's the first point. The second one is, Bawumia says, let's keep the money in the Bank of Ghana and earn nothing. That's the first point. Now, we borrow money at 10.5% thereabout interest in dollars. You put the money in a commercial bank at 12% interest in dollars. Okay? You know that when you give money to somebody in dollars and he's supposed to pay you back in dollars with interest, he takes the foreign exchange loss responsibility. Okay. The city can depreciate, yes, and all of that. Now, so if a bank then, in its own risk management arrangement, decides that it can convert it into cedis, okay, and invest in treasury bills at 22%, he carries a risk. Assuming that by the time the funds mature, you are supposed to give me back my $250 million with interest, 12%. You have earned your 12% CD denominated investment. Okay. The CD depreciates by 17%. And by the Bawumia, the CD is so useless that it can depreciate by 40%.
Ah, yes, by his own analysis.
It has nothing. So the CD depreciates by 40%. And you have invested my dollars in CDs at 22%. Collect your 22%, convert it back to CDs at a depreciation of 40%. What do you get?
That's a huge loss.
You get 80% loss.
Huge loss.
A huge loss. But you still have to give me back my 12%. So when I take my 12%, vis-a-vis my 10.5%, I have made 1.5%. There's no clever finance minister than Sentekwe in doing this arrangement. He has transferred the exchange loss to the bank that is willing to take the risk. But we must also understand whether that money is sitting at the Bank of Ghana gathering dust or not. Open market operations by the central bank to borrow on treasury bills will still happen. Okay. So that 22% doesn't matter whether it is UBA money, it is Ghana Commercial Bank money. Ghana must still finance the budget deficit. And we'll still go there and borrow.
There's something I don't understand. Yes. The allegation also further states that the UBA is using state money to buy treasury bills. I don't know if I got it right.
All they are saying is that...
But I don't understand. But what makes him think that until the 250 million...
They were not buying treasury bills. I mean, UBA was just waiting.
I was totally
confused. Take our money. Okay, and then, you see, when you place your investment with another bank, you look the other way. Whatever they do with the investment, you look the other way. Okay. If they decide that they'll convert it into dollars, on the day of my activity, I'm coming for $250 million with my 12%
with your interest. Exactly. That's all.
If you decide that you will convert it to cedis, and you see, the mistake is that they are fooling people to think that the 12% and the 22% are the same.
Okay.
The 22% is on a cedi, okay? And the 12% is on the dollar. Show me anywhere in the world or in Ghana where you have ever seen an equalization between a dollar-denominated investment interest rate and a cedi-denominated interest rate. It doesn't happen. And you know why?
Tell me.
Because there's a bigger risk in moving your money into cedis and investing. So you must be paid more to cater for possible depreciation.
Okay.
So that is why, for a dollar investment, 12% is a very, very, very good deal. Because you know why? You are protected against depreciation, you're still getting your interest, and you're still getting your money back. Okay. He is now having to manage how he can get the money back at 12% and still suffer and manage the depreciation. I don't care how he does that.
But what would you say to people critics who would say that, yeah, Bawumia probably might be right because this is a former deputy, and so we are inclined to take his explanation much more serious because he's been there, he manages, as you say. What would be the counter argument directly diluting the effect of what Bawumia is saying?
Because he's not a presidential, vice presidential.
So you believe
candidate.
his judgment is clouded?
So now, he is not doing what we know him to
as
be.
a professional.
We know Bawumia as an astute banker and knows that if I gave him $15 million Bawumia at 12%, Bawumia would think twice before converting it into cedis and investing in 22% transaction. Okay, but today I listened to some of these account stations. Okay. What could you 10%? And now they are moving 12%. Now what could you 22%? So they are looking at 22%, 12%. They are confused.
Not taking the denomination.
Not taking the currency denomination.
The currency denomination, yes.
And so the simple catch there is that your 22% may not even be enough if the cedi depreciates faster. May not even be enough for you to get back my 250 million plus the interest of 12% and give it to me. Okay. And that is a bigger challenge. That Bawumia knows this better than you and I. Because if I sat in the same class, Bawumia will be teaching me the same thing. I'm surprised that he's the one who is telling us, and I'm sorry for students of finance and economics who have so much respect for him and believe him, because they are learning the wrong things. Bawumia will tell you that keep the money sitting at the Bank of Ghana, pay 10% at the end of the year on the Eurobond. Once you could have gotten 12%, pay the 10% and still have 1.5% sitting there. Bawumia is saying, why do you give your money to somebody and go back and borrow that money? So that is the biggest challenge of Bawumia's argument.
We would have to continue this discussion perhaps on a less technical ground. But Razak, in the layman's perspective, this thing that Bawumia keeps churning out, government has stolen 250 million. Thank God to our financial analysts and our experts. We know it is not true. What does it mean to the ordinary Ghanaian, in your view, from the research advocacy platform, that you constantly hear somebody considered an expert previously as a professional, because of political coloration, there is absolute disregard to facts and figures, discrediting the statistic board, the Ghana Statistical Services, where or it's a body with whom Bank of Ghana collaborates to, do a lot of activities. Just when he was nominated as a running mate, is the first institution for him to attack. Nothing is credible except what comes from Bawumia. I find it very difficult to contend with. I don't know what you think about it.
If there was a medal for intellectual dishonesty,
you'll be given to Bawumia.
Yes.
This is serious.
Yes. You know why? I'm going to look at his responses.
Okay.
That is his comeback to the finance minister's
a press release, a press statement.
Good. He says, and with your permission, I quote, "The response of the minister in terms of the arguments he has advanced to defend this transaction, it confirms to me that those in charge of managing our finances do not really know what they are doing. First of all, if the minister had taken his time to read the Bank of Ghana Act, unless he's pretending not to have read, he would have found out that this transaction is in violation of Section 53 of the Bank of Ghana Act 2002, which relates to the holding of state foreign exchange. Note this, state foreign exchange." Then he continues, "Section 53 of the Bank of Ghana Then he quotes the law. The bank shall hold all foreign exchange of the state and be responsible to Parliament in the performance of its functions in relation to the foreign exchange. Take note of foreign exchange again. Then he continues. It should be noted that under the law, the foreign exchange that was deposited at the UBA belongs to the state and should be part of Ghana's foreign exchange reserves. Now the emphasis there is on reserves, foreign exchange reserves. By moving the foreign exchange to UBA, the transaction takes the funds out of Ghana's foreign exchange reserves. What the minister has done, contrary to the law, is to outsource the management of Ghana's foreign exchange reserves, which is the preserve of the Bank of Ghana, to a private bank. So I want to stop here.
Okay.
Now, according to him, the Eurobond that we went for in 2014, he even made a mistake with the year.
Yeah.
Because what we are talking about is Eurobond, for the one for the infrastructure. The Eurobonds, they have purposes. Yeah. When you are going for a Eurobond, it comes with a purpose. So the 2015 one was for, like Honorable Adongo said, for refinancing of domestic debt. The one for 2014 was for infrastructure. He, Dr. Bawumia, is accusing people of not reading. This particular one, he didn't read. He didn't know that the 2014 one was specific for infrastructure development. That was why the government, that was why the government went to the market. So when the government brought the money in, the seed money for infrastructure was taken out. That was the 250 million. But in the view of Dr. Bawumia, when government brings the Eurobond, it's supposed to go to our foreign exchange reserve and be there as reserve.
And be gathering dust.
We should go and
vault of Bank of Ghana.
Exactly. We should go and borrow money and come and put in our foreign exchange reserves, because we will enjoy keeping reserves. Is that what he's telling us? Is that a competent way of looking at our economic management? So that's what I'm saying, that for intellectual dishonesty, if there was a medal, in fact, we would have been the best candidate for it. Now, let me show you evidence of what incompetence means. From this piece I'm showing to you is from Parliamentary Hansard. Okay. It's a record in Parliamentary Hansard. On the 16th of March, 2006, under the MPP regime, Dr. Bawumia was still there. Parliament approved a loan. There was a loan agreement between the government of Ghana and SNIT for an amount of $20 million for the financing of the government of Ghana equity shares in Ghana International Airlines. Domestic borrowing. Government borrowed 20 million from SNIT to finance government of Ghana equity shares in Ghana International Airlines. Ghana International Airlines, their last flight, do you know where it is?
Tell me.
It's sitting at the tarmac at the Ghana airport and has now been converted to a restaurant.
Oh.
If you go to the Marina Market.
The famous restaurant.
Yes, if you go to the Marina Market and you just look up, you'll see that flight. It's a green flight. And they've written something restaurant on it.
Painted green.
Yes. That's the last flight of Ghana International Airlines. The MPP government sank 20 million. This is just an item, because there were a number of borrowings that they did and put in Ghana International Airlines. That company, Ghana International Airlines, has been run aground. Okay? Some people in the MPP, as we speak, should have been arrested for causing financial loss to the state.
And for distributing the state, the properties, the landed properties.
Exactly, and for this investment. At the moment, we don't know whether this money has been paid back to SNIT, because these are workers' money. What this current government has done is to go to the market, okay, and flow